Scarlet and Violet have opened up many possibilities within the Pokemon timeline and time travel. Having playing now both copies, I seem to have more questions than answers about the purpose of the research in Area Zero and how it ties into a greater storyline. What's good, Chaotic Nation? It's your boy Chaos here, and I wanted to go over what I envision for the continuation of the Scarlet and Violet storyline. As of recording this video, no additional information with the Scarlet and Violet story have been confirmed through either DLC or a second version, much like we did with Black and White 2, which built off the story of Black and White. While I don't think they would make a Scarlet and Violet sequel, there's a lot of potential to continue the storyline that we see in Scarlet and Violet, so let me share my ideas. First, I want to reconstruct the story of Scarlet and Violet, so if you are not interested in this section, whether that be for spoilers or you just don't want to hear what happened in Scarlet and Violet as a recap, I will have a timestamp somewhere probably on the screen where you can continue watching this video without seeing that. To recapture the events of Scarlet and Violet, the player character, along with 3 companions, travel into Area Zero to meet either Sada or Churro, based on which version of the game you are playing. The group encounters much of the mystery of Area Zero while traversing the research stations that were constructed 87 years ago, to unlock the Zero Lab, which established at the center of the Great Crater. Along the journey, the professor explains about the paradox forms from the future and the past that came from a time machine in the Zero Lab that is capable of bringing back Pokemon, but not humans. We know that either Miraidon or Koraidon was the first Pokemon that was retrieved from the past or future. Upon reaching the Area Zero Lab, we are confronted with an AI version of the professor who claims the real professor perished in a disaster down in Area Zero. The AI then gives you the mission of destroying the time machine in order to prevent the paradox forms from reaching the rest of Paldea. The AI defends the machine through defensive protocols installed by the original professor, which is eventually defeated by the player character. The rest of the group meets the AI Sada or Churro, which turns into the final line of defense, battling you with either Koraidon or Miraidon. Once defeated, the AI realizes that it is the only thing keeping the time machine from being truly destroyed. So it willingly goes into the past or the future, based once again on which version of the game you are playing, to see the world, knowing that it is impossible to return. And that is where we leave the story. Sure, other events in the post-game happen as part of the story, but they still are not a critical piece of the Scarlet and Violet storyline as a whole. Now that we have reconstructed the storyline of Scarlet and Violet, let's talk about the future. We can't possibly have an idea of what happens to the characters after the arc of Scarlet and Violet ends, so here's my disclaimer that the rest of the ideas in this video are practically fan fiction that I've created based around the information from the original Scarlet and Violet story. So here goes. Sometime after the events of Scarlet and Violet, let's say about 15 to 20 years later, we find the player character Arven, Nemona, and Penny drawn back to the academy. Perhaps this is some sort of class reunion of sorts that gathers graduates all across the Pokemon world to come back to Paldea. The group meets once again with Nemona becoming the new top champion of Paldea after Greta agrees to step down to focus on being the chairperson of the school. Penny has become the leading developer in the Paldean research company that is created, which builds off the information of Heath's expedition and the research of either Sada or Churro to completely understand the terrestrial phenomena. This company is led by its director, Arven, who created the company to carry on the work of his parents. Nemona creates the idea to venture back into the Great Crater to examine the work that Penny and Arven have been working on since they last were together. The group proceeds down to the Zero Lab while recounting their first adventure to the lab all those years ago. Arven explains that despite all the anger he had towards his parents, he wanted to contribute to making Paldea's future bright. Upon reaching the new lab, Penny and Arven announce their newest creation, a project that has been the focus all this time. The creation of a new time machine that supports the ability not only to bring back Pokemon, but to allow free travel from the past to the future. When they turn on the machine, the original player character is transported to either the past or the future, and since their project isn't complete, there's no way to return the original character back to the modern era. The protagonist of this new games is the child of the original character, who sets out on a mission to become strong enough to be able to handle the Pokemon of either the past or the future, to go after their parents by means of the time machine. Arven, Penny, and Nemona, much like the story of Scarlet and Violet, aid the new player character on their journey. Eventually, after completing their mission, completing the Titans, completing the gym challenge, and completing whatever Team Star event is going to be happening, whatever the new version of those would be, it's not really important to the story. The player character goes back to the Zero Lab and is sent into the past or future to save their parents. Equipped and aided by Arvin, Penny, and Nimona, the group travels to either the past or the future in order to save the original protagonist. Eventually, they find that the original protagonist has reunited with either AI Churro or AI Sada, based on whichever game you're playing, and has been staying with them and documenting all these new forms of Paradox Pokemon that hadn't come through the portal in the past. As the group gets ready to set back out to the present time, the AI form opposes them. He breaks their time machine and places them in a prison that is created. To their surprise, the original Sada or Churro has been kept there all this time. Now, this would be the opposite form of Sada Churro in the games. In Scarlet, Churro would have gone to the future, and in Violet, Sada would have gone to the past. This explains why only one of them show up in the original Scarlet and Violet story. So you would have an AI Churro and a regular Sada, or an AI Sada and a regular Churro. The human Churro or Sada will explain that they had been working on a way to return to the present time since their arrival in the past or the future. But they were never able to create a time machine since there needed to be an established time machine in the present era. They were, however, able to communicate with the opposite reality, the future in Sada's case and the past in Churro's case, where they interacted with another human Sada or Churro from the other timeline. Credit to Birdkeeper Toby for the origins of this idea that I'm about to use to kind of make my storyline here. In a video explaining the complete timeline of Scarlet and Violet, which I have linked in the description down below, Toby theorizes that the metal plate that Heath's team found, which was a metal that was found in Churro's future, because it had not been discovered by humans yet. It was sent back into the past to Sada's time, where Sada engraved it and left it to be discovered by Heath's team, which was described by Miss Rayfort as the Area Zero Expedition, 200 years before the events of Scarlet and Violet. The schematic housed the ability to create the original time machine that was used in Scarlet and Violet, which prevented Arvin from being erased from the timeline. Again, some really solid stuff, but I want to elaborate further than just the content of what Toby was talking about. The purpose of sending the information back in time is to allow either Sada or Churro to return from either their past or future to create a sustainable time machine that would link the present with either the future or the past, based on which version of the game you're playing. My theory about the future paradox forms relates to this in that both the past and future contain no human life. The Paradox Pokemon simply make a landscape that is inhospitable, and it is a miracle alone that the Professor and the alternate AI and the original protagonist have remained undetected and safe for so long. The problem that Sada or Churro have without their counterpart is that they're unable to decipher the mysteries of time travel to leave a detailed enough report to create the portal. Now that the group is there, the portal is able to be formed. The group fights against the AI Churro or Sada to destroy them in order to begin building the portal back. Both the former and new protagonists team up together in sort of a double battle adventure to gather resources needed to construct the time machine, since they are the most capable people of battle, while the rest of the people stay back at the past or future lab to begin working on the time machine. After collecting the required materials, the time machine is built. However, it is still inoperable. Churro or Sada remembers that the schematics of the original time machine has left out newer information which must be first written on the tablet in the present era. So that way, when it's built in present time, it will have these new features and they will be able to transport back. The group sets out once again, led by Churro or Sada, to the location of the original tablet, where the group must fight off a herd of Koraidon or Miraidon, depending on which game they are playing, who have laid claim to the tablet as their own. After the legends are defeated, Sada or Churro writes the missing information on the tablet, which completes the time paradox and makes the present era able to create the proper teleportation machine. The group returns to the time machine and is able to transcend time to return to the present era, which the new protagonist and the company originally traveled through. Sada and Churro are able to finally see their dream achieved. It is now possible to go through time to study the past and the future. Both Churro and Sada decide to leave the present reality since they never truly belonged there in the first place, since their original counterparts had died in the accidents in the fourth lab. But they encourage the group to come visit the past or the future whenever they like. Sada and Churro remain in the past and future respectively in order to keep the time machine operable and allow time travel. Arven is then left to operate the time machine in the modern era, completing the reality of time travel to the past, present, and future. So there's my continuation of the Scarlet and Violet storyline. The story of Scarlet and Violet was too good to leave it where it was, and this adventure finally gives the ability for Arven to get time with his parents, which is a great way to wrap up this story. It's such a good arc. Of course, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about my rendition, so let me know in the comments section your thoughts on how this would work out. Also, if you enjoyed this video, it would be wonderful if you would help support the channel by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. These videos are a lot of work, and I really appreciate having the feedback on them and helping them do well. Of course, if you want more from me, there are other platforms that I'm active on, including Twitch, TikTok, and Twitter, and Discord, as well as my non-Pokemon channel, Invisible Corporations, which are all linked in the description down below. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. That's all from me. So until next time, I'm Chaos, signing off. Stay safe, and as always, burn it up.